Shalom everyone, it's Ahmawanah. Today I wanted to talk to you guys about birth control. For the past couple of years and recently, a lot of stories been coming out about women taking birth control. And a lot of them are dying from birth control. They're getting blood clots from birth control, and there's a whole lot of side effects that come with birth control. With me, when I was 16 years old, I was taking birth control because I was my cycle was irregular. So the doctors told me that if I was to take the birth control, it would regulate my cycle. So it came a point where I don't know why I waited so long, but I had my cycle for 3 months straight, and I was admitted into the hospital because I had to get 3 bags of blood transfusion. The doctors, of course, they didn't tell me it was the birth control that caused that, but I know that's exactly what it was. Because before that, even though my cycle was irregular, it was never to that point where I had it for that long and so heavy like that. So after that, I ended up going on, at that time I was on the birth control pill. I forgot exactly which one it was, but I know it was the pill. After, they put me on, the depot shot. And with the depot, you get the depot shot every 3 months. And I wasn't getting my cycle at all. Now, they tell you that it's supposed to regulate your cycle, and you're supposed to get it every month, which is a natural thing for the woman. But of course, with the depot shot, with me, I didn't get my cycle at all. So what happened after that, I actually started gaining a lot of weight. I ended up going to 160 pounds. I would get really, really hungry, and I would eat so much. So I stopped taking the depot and ended up going right back to the pill. But I forgot to take the pill every day. So when I missed a day or two, I would double up the next day, which you're not supposed to do that either. But in this video, I'm gonna actually bring out a couple of articles and stories where women died because of birth control. And you actually gonna on Fox News, I have a story up on Fox News where a lady actually lost her toes because of birth control. Now I'm gonna share the screen with you guys, and to the woman out there who's actually wanting to take birth control, a lot of us know the side effects of birth control, and I'm also gonna bring that out in this video too. I'm gonna bring out the articles of different articles saying the different side effects of birth control. And another thing that I do want to say is recently, I believe it was like last year or something like that, I went to the doctor because I have PCOS, and so I was getting like a lot of cysts in my ovaries. And anyways, the doctor, when I went to the doctor, she told me in order to get rid of the PCOS, I would have to go on birth control. And I told her no. So she had the nerve to tell me, then you shouldn't be coming here because you're coming here for a reason, but you don't want to take the birth control. Well, no, I don't want to take the birth control, and I don't have to take the birth control, and I have the right to say no. So I just stopped going to that doctor. And if anything, to a lot of women, if you have PCOS or you have any menstrual problems, here on Sister of the Maccabees, you could scroll down. I believe the video that Sister Malika made was on PCOS and how to fix it. But yeah, just scroll down and you'll see the video on PCOS and any menstrual issue that you have. There's a couple of videos that she made on how to fix it. Another thing that I want to mention is with the pain with when you get your cycle. One of the things that she told me was that of course you have to change your diet. But I started taking the magnesium and ginger, and let me tell you something. I no longer have any menstrual pain at all because of what she told me to take the magnesium and the herbs, also with the ginger, which is gonna help you a lot, women. So do that, and also take a look at the video because she brings out a lot of information. Alright, so I'm gonna just share my screen with you guys, and we're gonna start with this article right here. Alright, right here I'm on Fox News, and it says mom loses ovaries, uterus, and toes after IUID ends up in stomach. And this is her right here. It says, Tonight Smith of Baltimore has shared her story with several outlets, hoping to help other women. Alright, a 25-year-old woman who lost her ovaries, uterus, and toes after her IUD forced its way up into her stomach and migrated over to her liver, said her faith in God has helped her recover. Sometimes things happen in your life and you don't know why. Tonight Smith of Baltimore said, you question yourself, why me, or what did I do to deserve this? But what you should be asking is what I can learn from it. I'm finally coming out to tell my story because I feel like I can help someone. Smith said she was offered birth control 6 weeks after her daughter's 2014 birth. She said that she was told it would work for 5 years, but at an annual checkup with a new gynecologist in October 2017, she allegedly learned that there was potentially an issue. The gynecologist, whom she did not name in her post, could not find the IUD and allegedly sent her for 2 ultrasounds. Smith said the scans did not show the IUD. One day in the beginning of November, I was at work. I began to have a sharp pain in the bottom right side of my stomach, and the first thing that popped in my head was, is this the IUD? She wrote, adding that she took herself to the emergency room when it worsened. Smith said she was taken for an x-ray, which showed that her IUD had wound up in her stomach. I went and talked to my OBGYN, told him everything that was going on, and even showed him the x-ray picture that they allowed me to take, she wrote. So he said I had to get surgery. So I asked him how would they have to get it out, and he told me they will cut me right under my belly button and use a scope. Smith claims that when she woke up from December 13th procedure, she noticed that she was cut 3 times and that she was told the IUD broke into pieces and had traveled to her liver. She claims she was released from the hospital despite the fact that she was bleeding, but had to be rushed back overnight. And let me tell you something, this is the problem with a lot of hospitals, and I've done heard so many stories where somebody end up in a hospital because of an issue that they have, and the doctors overlook that issue, and a lot of times they don't do blood work, and they don't do any ultrasounds or x-rays or anything in that nature, and you go home and you get worse, that you have to go back to the hospital, and the same thing happens. You go back home, then you get even worse than before, you go back, and then they decide to do tests and they find out the real cause. But you know what, a lot of times when we go to the hospital, we allow them to just do things, and even if we go, we don't ask questions, and then when they send us home, we just allow that to happen. And if you know that there's something wrong, so deep down inside there's something wrong, you have to talk back to these doctors and let them know, I'm not leaving until you find out the real cause of my issue, because I know my body and I know there's something wrong with me. Alright, so right here it says she was bleeding, but she had to be rushed back overnight. So look at that, the same day that she was released from the hospital, she had to go back the same night because she got worse. I was bleeding internally, Smith said. After the surgery, my mom was told that when they opened me up, my ovaries was black and they had to give me a hysterectomy. After the surgery, I went into septic shock, causing me to be in ICU for a few weeks. Smith said her organs began to fail and she was placed on the ventilator. And this is the problem with birth control. A lot of women are having so many issues with these birth controls, but because the doctor's telling you that this is going to actually help you, you decide to listen to them and take the birth control, even though a lot of people have told you before that you are going to have issues, and you actually tell them stories of people dying and a lot of problems that they have, but for some reason you rather believe the doctors instead of actually doing your own research and finding out the truth about birth control. And it's always like that. You can have your own people telling you something, but once you go to the doctor, and let's just say the doctor, you end up finding out from the doctor, let's just say they tell you, oh no, but birth control is no good. then you're actually going to believe them, and you're going to actually take their advice instead of somebody that you know you don't want to take their advice, but you rather take the doctor's advice. I don't understand that. And that happens to our people a lot. Alright, so let's keep going. Alright, so it says Smith said her organs began to fail and she was placed on the ventilator. At the time, I didn't know what was going on or what would happen, Smith wrote in an essay published in Women's Health. I was convinced I wouldn't make it, that I would die. She says she spent weeks away from her daughter because she didn't want the medical equipment to scare her, and she lost feeling in her hands and feet. At the end of my 3rd week in the hospital, sensation returned into my hands while my toes began to blacken from necrosis, tissue death due to loss of blood flow, she wrote. On February 2nd, almost 2 months after my surgery, I was finally discharged with a prognosis that hung over me for months. When I felt ready, I'd need to return for the removal of all toes on my left foot and the tips of my right toes. It says Smith had her toes removed in early May and says she hasn't been able to return to school or either of her part-time jobs. She says she was told that either the IUD was put in too soon after childbirth and the healing of her uterus pushed it up, or the tightening of her muscles during each menstrual cycle forced the device upward. Let me tell you something. There's always an excuse with these doctors. When something happens, they come up with some type of story and you believe it. Like it says right here, it says that she was told that either the IUD was put in too soon after childbirth and the healing of her uterus pushed it up, or the tightening of her muscles during each menstrual cycle forced the device upward. Why is it that a lot of women that give birth, or even women that don't give birth, that they get the birth control, and this is happening to so many people? No, it is not because she ended up getting the IUD so-called too soon. It's the birth control itself that's damaging our bodies. I'm gonna read another story to you of a girl who actually died from taking birth control, and this right here is lifesitenews.com, and it says 17-year-old ballerina's death caused by birth control pill, doctors believe. Maria Santa, a healthy and gifted 17-year-old ballerina from Romania, died unexpectedly from a blood clot that doctors believe was caused by taking oral contraceptives. Maria, who was studying in England on a scholarship at Manchester's famous Northern Ballet School, went to a walk-in medical facility complaining of severe headaches. Her father, Robert Santa, explained no testing was done to see what was wrong, and Maria was sent home with antibiotics. And this is what I was just talking about with the other article. A lot of times you go to the doctors, there's no testing done, there's no blood work, no x-rays, no ultrasounds, and they just send you home. And look at that. With Maria, they sent her home with antibiotics, not even knowing what was the problem. You're giving her something, you're giving her antibiotics, but yet you don't know what was the issue. So what is the medication for if you don't know what's her problem? But Maria only got worse day by day. Her father said a second visit to the doctor did not help either. Maria began vomiting every hour without eating or drinking. Going to the healthcare center for the 3rd time last fall, she said she found it difficult to stand or sit. All she wanted to do was lie down. She was again given pills and sent home. Now, as a doctor, you seriously gonna tell me that with her vomiting every single hour, she's not eating or drinking, and she found it difficult to stand or sit, and all she wanted to do was lie down? You telling me that's not a problem? That is actually a big problem. And as a doctor, you're supposed to be doing a lot of a lot of testing to find out the root cause, because a lot of times this causes death. When you don't know what's wrong with somebody and somebody's telling you that they know their body, they know something is wrong, they end up dying. Why are you not listening to your patients? And you as a person, like I said earlier too, if you know there's something wrong with you, You know your body. You know there's something wrong with you. You are supposed to speak up in them hospitals and in them clinics and tell them, I am not leaving until something is done. And let me tell you something. Once you start threatening them that you will file a lawsuit on them, oh boy, let me tell you something about that. They will start doing everything in their power to find out what's wrong with you, because you think these hospitals want lawsuits? They don't. They really don't. So, alright, so 2 days later, on November 11th, Maria complained that it felt like her head was going to explode and she couldn't feel her right leg. She was taken to the hospital by ambulance. Mr. Santa shared that when the doctor came into her hospital room, Maria could speak. Then when he came back and asked where the headache was, she couldn't speak. The doctor told us not to worry because she was tired. Mr. Santa said she didn't speak anymore and she needed help with everything. Later that morning, Maria's boyfriend found her unconscious at their apartment, which means that after all of this, where her not being able to speak, they still sent her home. And you as a parent, you're not supposed to allow that. I'm telling you, start speaking up. Once you mention them lawsuits, that's it, is over. Maria was rushed to Salford Royal Hospital but never regained consciousness. She died 2 days later. And then it says the doctor who treated Maria at the hospital, Dr. Jonathan Greenbaum, said she was a fit young woman and the only risk factor was being on the oral contraceptive pill. Listen to this again. The doctor himself said she was a fit young woman and the only risk factor was being on the oral contraceptive pill. He explained that the risk of blood clots with oral contraceptive is very low, but if you take the pill, then your risk is slightly increased. He said identifying a medical risk is difficult because it's so rare and the symptoms can be non-specific. Let me go down. Let me see if there's anything else that I wanted to bring out. I think that's really it that I wanted to bring up from this article. But you know, this is the second article right here that's telling you that, you know, there's a lot of risk factors when you take birth control. This right here is an article on naturalwomanhood.org, and it says new research on birth control and blood clots reveals real risk factors. Let me go down and see what it says. So basically, in this article, it starts telling you that birth control is causing blood clots and that it ruins lives. It says right here, our blood is designed to solidify naturally to prevent us from bleeding to death in the case of a wound. Alright, now the reason that I'm bringing out a lot of these articles is because for some reason when your own people tell you these things, you don't believe them. But when you hear it from, you know, a white man or anybody, any of these other nations, these doctors, you listen to them. So why not just give it to you in an article and hopefully you listen to that. However, when we talk about blood clots, also called venous thrombolism, sorry if I said that wrong, but we described an abnormal coagulation of the blood in the veins or arteries. Let's see, a blood clot is dangerous because it obstructs your normal blood circulation and can lead to 3 life-threatening conditions, which is a heart attack, a stroke, and a pulmonary embolism. And if you want to just go through this article, is on womanhood.org. I'm not going to read everything just because I know people have a short attention span, but you could go here, naturalwomanhood.org, and it's called new research on birth control and blood clots reveal real risk factors. So down here, as you can see, it says that it causes a heart attack, a stroke, and a pulmonary embolism. And let's just read this real fast. A heart attack when the clot blocks the normal blood passage from the artery to the heart, which happens to over 1 million Americans every year. Heart attack was the cause of death for this lady named Annie Ammons, who died in 2009 at age 35 as a result of using the birth control pill Yaz. Now let me tell you something real fast. when you look at these commercials too, and you'll find out there's actually been a lot of lawsuits when it comes to this birth control, because a lot of people have been dying from it. So if you're on birth control, sisters, get off of it. It's no good for you. A stroke, which happens when the blood supply to parts of your brain is stopped or severely reduced, causing certain functions to stop almost immediately and some permanently. It happens to almost 800,000 Americans every year and kills about 130,000 of them. Carrie Gretchen is one young woman who barely survived a stroke caused by hormonal contraceptives. So as you can see, already in this article right here, I already brought out one, which is this lady right here who lost her ovaries, her uterus, and her toes after the IUD ends up in her stomach. This one is another story where the 17-year-old girl actually died from taking birth control pills. And right here is another story with this lady right here, Annie Ammons, who died from taking the birth control pill. Yes, that's already 3 people so far. This person right here, Carrie Gretchen, who had a stroke being caused by hormonal contraceptives, that's already 4 people right there. How many people does it take for you to listen to not take birth control? How many people would it take to die or have lifelong problems from taking birth control? Here's another story. A pulmonary embolism, when the blood clot travels to the artery in the lung. The blockage can eventually cause heart failure and death. Listen, people, sisters, heart failure and death. Do you want that? Do you want your daughters to go through that? Do you want to go through that? The precise number of people affected is unknown, but estimates say 900,000, with 60,000 to 100,000 dying every year. Listen to this. Erica Langhart, 24. Alex Rowan, 22. And Julia West Ross, 29. Each died from a pulmonary embolism caused by birth control. Brittany Malone, 23, is another victim of birth control caused blood clotting. So look at this already, right? I just mentioned too with the mother losing her ovaries, the 17-year-old ballerina who died from birth control. You have another one again. I'm gonna keep mentioning this. Annie Ammons, that's 3. Carrie Gretchen, that's 4. Erica, that's 5. Alex Rowan, 6. Julia West, that's 7. Brittany Malone, 8. 8 people so far in just 3 short articles telling you that they all died from birth control. Blood clots affect mostly older people, who are most likely to be victims of stroke, pulmonary embolisms, and heart attacks. But obviously you still see here that these girls are young, 23, 29, 24, 22, and they all died from a pulmonary embolism from taking birth control. Let me see if there's anything else that I want to bring out. Okay, it says long-term consequences if you survive. So it says even when blood clots are not deadly, the consequences of blood clot related accident are life-changing. A heart attack damages the heart's muscle tissues, leading to irregular heart rhythm, higher chance of heart failure, and higher risk of major depression. A stroke will often be followed by some impairment such as partial paralysis, memory loss, or thinking difficulties, or emotional problems. So, just keep going through all of these this whole article. You could read it. Like I said, you could go to yourself to naturalwomanhood.org. New research on birth control and blood clots reveals real risk factors, and you will see all the risk factors of birth control. Now I'm gonna go to this article right here. This article is telling you just the side effects of birth control, and you could go on any other website too, and it will tell you. So basically, birth control causes nausea, right here, depression, sore or enlarged breast, acne, headaches. And one of the things with the headaches is I used to take birth control, and I used to get a lot of headaches too from the birth control. And my sister actually just recently started taking birth control, and she stopped taking it because she was getting really, really bad headaches, and she wouldn't be able to make it through the day because the headaches were so bad. And it causes irregular menstrual cycles. Now, doctor, I thought you said that these birth controls is gonna regulate my cycle. No, it says irregular menstrual cycle. Don't listen to these doctors, people. Let me go to another article. This is from the Depo-Provera. Like I told you earlier in the beginning of the video, when I was 16 years old, I was first on the pill, and then I was switched to the Depo because I was bleeding for so long that I thought, okay, maybe I could try something else and see if it works. And let me see. Alright, yeah, so this is saying what the Depo shot is. I'm going to tell you all the side effects. It says stomach cramping or pain. You have bloating, dizziness. You have headaches, tiredness, drowsiness, irritability, breast tenderness, decrease in breast size. You have acne. Let's keep going down. Hair loss, decreased sex drive. You have hot flashes, joint pain. You have irritation, pain, skin changes, hard lumps. Let me see what else. And it says, tell your doctor if you have serious side effects of Depo-Provera, including mental mood changes such as new or worsening depression, which is telling you that you are going to have depression, obviously, because that's a side effect. Changes in sexual interest or ability, swelling in the ankles or feet, bone pain, unusual changes in vaginal bleeding such as continuous spotting, sudden heavy bleeding, vomiting, pelvic pain, and so on. Seizures, yellowing eyes or skin. So sisters, this is all telling you that basically all these birth controls no good for you. I'm gonna right now, this is what I'm gonna do real fast. Let me see if I can find a video of what they made of the side effects of birth control, because a lot of times when you look at the commercials that they give on TV, you see, like, me and my husband, we be watching it and we be like, I be like laughing, because it's like you're trying to tell people that you could get better if you take it, but then they're telling you at the end of the commercial that you could have, it causes death, strokes, and so on. So let me see if I can find a video on here on YouTube of a commercial of birth control. Let me see, birth control commercial. Maybe I should have done this earlier just so okay, let's see this real fast. What this says. Okay, this one. I'm gonna go on this one really fast. Let's see what it says.
Because I'm gonna fuck this guy.
Oh no, that video is just something else. You have somebody in the background talking nonsense. I'm sorry, people. I should have been got this for you. Alright, let me see. Birth control commercial. If birth control commercials were honest, let's see what this says right here. I hate these commercials.
My life is way too busy to worry about pregnancy. The only baby that I want to worry about is this baby.
Wow.
Then those of us who make birth control have the perfect, no-fuss, completely life-altering solution for you. But we understand that you don't want me to mansplain about birth control, although I am the one that makes it. So take it away, Jess, you relatable, relatively cool person our viewer might like to be if they were cool.
Thanks, Roger. Birth control, the simple solution for the woman willing to do anything to prevent a pregnancy. Other than asking the guy to take responsibility for taking prophylactics, Or maybe you did, and he just won't. Either way, now I'm getting drinks with my girlfriends, because that's what women do. And this body-altering medical stuff will sound better generalized by my gal pals.
I need birth control, but I don't know what kind to choose.
Don't worry, there are so many options. You can take the pill, which will affect the hormones in your body, tricking it into thinking it's pregnant when it's not. That's why it won't want to make tiny humans pop out of you.
Wow!
Yeah. Just make sure to take the pill at the exact same time every day. Because if you don't, it won't work as well, if at all. Looks like you just wasted $60 to $130.
Okay, cause...
So right here you see that this lady is actually making a she's actually what is it called? It says right here in the bottom, if birth control commercials were honest, she's just gonna bring out, I guess she can bring out some information about birth control, and this is why she says she threw it, because she's like, oh, you're wasting money on something that's not even gonna work for you, that's actually gonna cause problems. And you're hearing it from the white woman herself. You don't listen to nobody else. Your own people listen to this white woman herself.
Having sex without a condom does feel pretty good. I mean, not at the risk of...
No, we never say that. We say we do it because we just aren't ready for a baby, but we will be eventually. The pill's great. It just has side effects like weight gain, nausea, depression, migraines that could indicate cancer, or a lack of sex drive. So you won't even get pleasure from sex. The pill can also change who you're attracted to. So once you go on the pill for that special guy, you might not even be attracted to him anymore. Now we're young moms. Because it's okay to need birth control if you've already had sex to procreate and you just cannot baby anymore.
Mommy!
I have a kid? Yep, but only the right amount, which is when you should use an IUC, an intrauterine contraception, which they shove up inside of your uterus by forcing your lady junk to open all the way up to your cervix. And you'll be awake and aware for the whole process. But don't worry, you can take 3 whole Advil beforehand. Doctors will tell you that you'll deal with some slight cramping, but in reality, you'll feel like someone is forcing a metal T up inside of you, and your body is trying to push it out, but it can't. Then for the next month or so, you'll feel nothing but constant stabbing pain because your body is still trying to eject the foreign object. But once your body adjusts, you never have to worry about it again. Unless it impales you from the inside and you have to have it surgically removed. You two are hearing me say all this horrible stuff, right?
Yeah, it's just there's no other option, right?
Ah, but there are other options. You could get it.
Yo, you see, I'm just gonna stop right there. A lot of us have that habit where you know, we just want to take birth control for, you know, a lot of us say that we don't want to get pregnant. So sis, if you don't want to get pregnant now, use a condom. And I'm sorry, a lot of people don't believe in condoms, but because some, you know, some people just don't believe in it. They just don't want to use it because at the end of the day too, that has a lot of chemicals and everything. But if you have no other options, I would suggest for you to just use a condom, or just the pull-out method, brothers, sis. You know, don't just have sex with somebody and, you know, then you're like, oh, I want to go on birth control, and nah, you don't want to do that to yourself. You don't want to cause damage internally, like the bleeding, like the internal bleeding that one of the girls had in the earlier articles that I read. And, you know, like I mentioned earlier with myself, I had a lot of problems with birth control. And another problem that I had too was depression. I was so depressed, and even though I was depressed too because of other things that I was going through, but that, I believe that made it worse too. So, you know, you don't want to be depressed and end up getting, because with depression comes suicidal thoughts. You don't want to go through any of that. So I'm telling you, look back at this video if you have to. Again, do your own research. Don't just listen to what the doctors are telling you, because you know, like I said, with all these commercials that they're giving, they're warning you. They're letting you know what's going to happen to you if you take birth control. But of course, this is a money-making government, and at the end of the day, they don't really care about your well-being, and it's all about making money at the end of the day. So if you are a sister and you you know, you have kids or whatever the situation is, and you don't want to have any more kids, then you need to take your responsibility of yourself, take accountability of your own body. I just want to mention something real fast. A lot of sisters don't believe in spilling the seed. Nowhere in the scriptures does it say that it is a sin for man to spill seed. There's no scripture, and if there is, correct me if I'm wrong and show it to me. As far as I know, there is no law stating that a man cannot spill seed. No law whatsoever. So like I said, sis, if you find it, just bring it out and I will take correction. But other than that, you know, you sisters, just make sure that, you know, you take care of yourself. Don't get on this birth control. It's doing nothing but harming your body. And if you want to be the one to lose your toes and go through any other health problems because of birth control, then that is on you. You cannot say you was not warned. A lot of us hear it in the news and we still don't want to listen, and then we get mad about ourselves for if something happens to us. So it's all a learning process. So you know, like I said, do your own research. Don't just take my word for it. And that's all I really have to say. So if there's any topics that you want Sisters of the Maccabees to bring out, just comment below. And don't forget, again, people, we always mention it, don't forget to subscribe to Sisters of the Maccabees. There's a lot of information that sisters are going to bring out, and a lot more stuff that we're going to have in store for you guys. And Maccabees TV, you can subscribe to that channel. The brothers bring out a lot of information. Long live Yahawashi is brothers having classes. And also one of the new channels that we have is Gathering the Northern Kingdom, because yes, so-called Hispanics are Israel, and I don't care what you say. I don't care what you say about that. So if you want to watch videos to all you brothers and sisters that's so-called Hispanic, I'm telling you, subscribe to Gathering the Northern Kingdom. There's going to be a lot of information being brought out about so-called Hispanics being Israel. So I hope all of you have a blessed Sabbath, and shalom.